Hi, my name is James Pavlich. I'm the Executive Director of Operations for Montrose County School District, and I've been in this role for the last 5 years. I've been up at district office now for pretty close to 8 years, and an administrator in the district since around 2012. So in November of 23, I went to the Breakthrough Coaches Foundations course with my administrative assistant, Susie Benitez, and we really liked what we saw out there, so we adopted the system. And for the past 2 years, I've been working with Dr. Andy Johnson as a personal coaching client, and have really been excited to, improve my practice and my team's practice over these past 3 years now. As the Executive Director of Operations for Montrose County School District, I'm responsible for a lot of the strategic planning for the district, as well as managing the business functions of Montrose County School District. I kind of want to talk to you about how I've refined the request making and management system that the Breakthrough Coach talks about in their foundations course. Over the years, as I got back and we started to apply this request making system to how we do operations here in Montrose, I was struggling on getting the work coordinated across departments, and also in managing the balancing the volume of requests that I got to give on a daily basis and tracking them. And so in working with Dr. Johnson, I really looked at how to get a more digital system for managing and maintaining these requests. So I'm going to show you guys what we developed, but what we ended up selecting, because it's part of our Office 365 package, is Teams, and specifically the Planner app. So I can access it within Teams. And what you see on my screen right now is a Teams planning board. And so here I manage probably 3 different tiers of requests on this. One is for my direct reports. So you'll see that I've got on here some individuals' names. Susie is my data manager, and she does a lot of data analysis for me. Susie and Jim's daily meeting is my administrative assistant and I's board, and then you can see the direct reports I've got across here. So that's one level. It's the people that are directly accountable to me, and I manage requests. I'll show you an example of that in a second. The second thing on this board is things that are for my operations team. And so you see that there are 2 boards on there for them. One for our weekly stand-up meeting, so that's the agenda for the ops meeting, and then the other one being the operations project board. Most of these projects are organized kind of in 30, 60, and 90-day horizons, and or fall, winter, summer, spring, because some of these projects will span over the course of a year, and we'll talk about that a little later. And then the final one is the academics and ops board on here, which all of a sudden I'm blanking, but it's on this board as well, academics and ops, and that's for when we're doing joint planning between the 2 primary directorates in the district. And we'll finish with an example from that today. For me, as we looked at applying this and designing this system, it had to be something that multiple people could get into, so it had to be a collaborative board that would update live. It also had to be provide a way for me to more effectively delegate tasks. I find with my teams, one of the things, and when I coach principals, one of the biggest challenges is people getting enough information to execute or to use initiative to complete a task. And so, just like Breakthrough Coach's task and success criteria, you're going to see that language repeated in this board. Okay, so now I'm going to show you some of these boards. So right now, here is one for a daily meeting with my administrative assistant. And what you see on the left-hand side is the agenda that we go through each day. So check-in, we're going through my inbox, we're looking at my calendar today and yesterday, like Did I meet the intent of the calendar yesterday? What's on my calendar today? And depending on the time of the week, that calendar deal will stretch out to, the calendar conversation may stretch out a week ahead if it's on a Friday, or if it's on a Monday, we're going to be covering that week. If it's on a Friday, we're going to be looking at the next week. Then we got Susie's questions and mine. To be honest, I don't use the follow-up stuff too much. And then she's always got any items that I've got to sign that day. So this is one, and I'll click on one here. This is a more complex task, and this is how I would make a request to Susie so that she has enough information to schedule the meeting and get the appropriate people there. So you'll see a task. This is a task. I've got a contractor coming in that's going to help us do some analysis on how to do more site-based budgeting. And then you have success criteria. It says all my team members are prepared to meet with this guy here next week, and I built out a base schedule for her, which she knows she can change, but the schedule says who's there, what they're going to do, and what the basic topics are going to be. And then you see down here at the bottom, it gives her actual like the four main things she had to schedule. So in this particular meeting, she had to schedule a virtual meeting with Joe to go over what I'm asking of him when he comes, and then she scheduled a site visit, which we were looking at 2 or 3 different months that he could come out. And then from there, we started setting up specific meetings for when this individual is going to be in town. So that's an example of a more complex task that I'm giving to Susie, but she has enough information to exercise initiative and meet my intent. All right, so now I'm going to go to a higher level task. So this is one that's going to be on the operations project board. I think I'm just going to give you guys 2 examples. So this is a more strategic planning process. So right now, like everybody, we're facing declining enrollment, so we're trying to figure out ways to enroll more students in our district. Peak is our online and hybrid school. We are looking at expanding it into homeschool, supporting homeschool parents. And so this is a more complex task. This is a task that is being done by 2 departments. So you'll see up here that it shows all the people that are assigned. These are directors within both departments. It says here that we've got it in the bucket for the next 60 days. The task is still in progress. This task started in October. It's now the end of February, and we're getting close to completing it. The start dates, I put in here sometimes. There's actually a timeline in here, but like if I was doing this thing needs to be done here by mid-March, which the team knew, because it's going to affect staffing for next year and our budgeting for the next year. So you'll see a task. It's pretty detailed. We're losing 368 kids a year. It goes through what our target is. We'd like to enroll another 120 kids in the district within the next 12 months, and it gives a blend of those are going to be out of homeschool, and it says what we want this homeschool to look like. And then in the success criteria, we try to give them a little bit more. I talk about how we want them to expand their 3 different models within the building, and that expanded programming structure, it should capture kids that are not happy with our traditional structure. It should allow for curricular choices, extracurricular choices for homeschool families, and at our level, we need to make sure we understand what a high quality program is. So what you see here is that then this got delegated out to our academic services team, our director of secondary education or director of elementary education. I said, hey, research. You guys are going to go do some research first. We got to make sure we understand the problem, like what that we're trying to solve. So gave them a bunch of questions. Phase 2 of it, we defined the constraints and the assumptions that was going to govern our look at the problem, and then we developed a mission, vision, and intent. It's the first time the superintendent's involved. She approves the mission, vision, and intent, as well as the constraints and assumptions on the deal. And then it moved into course of action development, And then finally, we're right now actually entering into phase 4, which is publishing the plan. Down here, you'll see that this are the tasks for not only who's going to be in charge of these meetings, but who's in charge, what presentations we're going to have. So this up here is great for the academic services folks and the operation, like the HR director and things, like for what they're supposed to do. But you got to understand this task and success criteria is assigning directors. It's also assigning our administrative assistants what meetings to schedule, and then it serves as a place where we can also update or modify the original task. So you see down below, we've got, this is for the administrative assistants. They're scheduling the meetings as they go. And then down here with the comments section, although this one, oh, it's because I'm in the operations project board. But there's the comments down below will show we can update as it goes. So I'm going to click over. I built this originally in operations, and then it moved over into academics and ops. And so I'm going to pull it up again. And you'll see here that we assigned which administrative assistant was in charge. It's actually the academic services AA. And then the attachments for the various presentations are in here. And then you can see in the comments we can modify the original task, and there's a record of it. And so this allows us to do long-range strategic planning, and you can see that these meetings are over almost 4 months. What's it done for us? Well, we've used this process to do a number of joint projects and projects just within the operations team. A big one was a compensation and salary, so a compensation and benefits analysis we did. That was a year-long project that I did last year that drove a 30% change to salaries within the district. We're doing this peak expansion, which is hopefully going to allow us to recapture some students into the district. A direct effect on my day from this is I used to manage somewhere between 150 and 200 emails a day. And by having a lot more efficient project boards and a request making and managing system, my emails now are down around 50 or fewer per day. And that's a huge time savings. I am regularly able, as is the superintendent and the academic services executive director. I'm out in schools about 8 hours a week right now, which is not only fulfilling, it reminds me of why I'm in education. The breakthrough coaching model has helped me get strategic and take control of my weekly workflow. It's made me feel a lot more effective, and overall it's reduced my stress. This task making managing system has allowed my team to feel a lot more productive, not only feel a lot more productive, but be more productive. And as a whole, our department, our district office is able to do a lot more strategic work, which is really, what we're here for.